Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is Chief Paul Blackwell. We know him primarily as the Chief of Police, which he has been for quite a few years. Done a good job at that. But we've also experienced him the last few months as an interim city administrator after Jody Baltz decided to retire, and the mayor appointed Chief to sit in for probably 3 or 4 months while the city engaged in a search for a permanent city administrator. So that's what happened, and we're glad to see you on board, and you're probably beginning to look forward to another switch. How's it gone? How's it gone for you as a city administrator?
It's a new adventure, a new journey, and really I've enjoyed it. I've learned quite a bit about the city government that I didn't know, and most people would not even get exposed to unless they were in this type of position. It's been a great learning experience, and I believe what I've learned when I go back to the chief duties, I'll be able to use that as well to better serve the community. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been a learning experience. I've met people in a different arena from what I normally deal with on the police side.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've widened my relationships with the community. In the police side, I deal with a lot of people in the community, not just because, police, but the activities that we have. But as a city administrator, I'm getting to meet another group as well. So that's probably the greatest thing I'm taking away from this is the increased relationships that I built that I'll be able to fall back on when I go back to being the chief.
That's probably inside and outside government both.
It is.
Yeah,
it's just a wide spectrum of people because of what you're dealing with as a city administrator.
Yeah. You've got 7 or 8 departments, I guess.
Right. And every one of them, you deal with someone different in the community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and talk some more.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Back, folks, today, and we're talking with Chief Paul Blackwell, who's been acting as a city administrator while the permanent search was going on, and in fact has been completed. And so come, I think, September the 10th, you're going to be police chief full-time again.
I changed my clothes. then I'll hang up the suit and ties and coats and go back to my uniform.
I see.
And go back to another journey, another chapter in my service to the community. So I've had a lot of people ask me, one, just as when you opened up, that people ask me, do I refer to you as Chief, Mr. Blackwell, or what? And I said, just call me Paul. I mean, I'm the same person. I just got a different set of clothes on and some different responsibilities now. But it is kind of humorous sometimes to see people, how do I refer to you? You know, and it's like, I'm the same person.
Who is our new city administrator?
It's going to be Mrs. Jennifer Moody. She's currently or has been the assistant city administrator in Murfreesboro, and she has prior experience as an assistant city administrator in Columbia. So she'll be coming to us with some experience. Obviously, what she won't have coming here is the contacts and the relationships. And one of my key duties in the transition will be to introduce her to people that she needs to know, and to get her up to speed.
There'll be a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, right? And so I know I can't complete that task. She's going to have to learn some of that on her own through some of the community events.
And it is planned that they will move to Tullahoma.
Right. I believe her employment agreement gave her 6 months to relocate to Tullahoma.
Okay. Well, we'll find out more about her give her a couple of months to get on board, and we'll.
I'm sure it's going to be a whirlwind for the first few months,
and then you go back to being chief full time.
I will. I'll go back to being the chief, and I've never totally relinquished it. And as you said, by the time Mrs. Moody comes on board, I'll have been in the city administrator position for over 4 months. So during that 4 months, I haven't just severed my ties with the police department. I've kept my hands in it.
Oh.
There's meetings I still had to go to. There's reports that had to be completed. Yeah. There was no way that I could have just said, I'm out the door, it's yours.
It's kind of interesting. Has your experience as the city administrator, has that given a little different flavor to going back to the chief's job?
From the standpoint of understanding what the city administrator has to deal with, of course, as the chief of police, when people come in with issues, it's usually just police related. And, that's pretty simple. That's what I've done for 36 years, police stuff. But in the city administrator position, someone walks through the door, it could be any number of items. We have 9 different departments in the city with 9 different department heads, so that means the potential for 9 different issues at any given day. So it does broaden your perspective.
Sometimes all in the same day?
Sometimes all in the same day. So, I can go back to the police department where I get maybe 1 complaint a month as opposed to some of the complaints I deal with as a city administrator.
You mentioned a number of years. Give us a little review of your background. You've been here 10 years or so, but...
and it's pretty interesting because when I start talking about my background, my bio, people sometimes say, wow, I didn't know that. I'm originally from Tennessee. I'm actually born in Tennessee, in Jackson, but my father was in the military, so I was a military brat for 20 plus years. We left Jackson when I was about 2 years old and began our travels around stateside in Europe. I spent about 6 years in Europe as a child. Then when we finally came back stateside, my father retired. I got out of high school, and at 18 I joined the Marine Corps. So I off on my own.
Was he a Marine?
To be a Marine at 18. Yeah. And so I did my time in the Marine Corps and got out and went to college at MTSU and eventually graduated from MTSU with my bachelor's in criminal justice. During that time, I got back into the military and got into National Guard, Tennessee National Guard. Graduated in 1982. I didn't know if I wanted to say when I graduated. People could start adding things up. And my wife and I, which we weren't married at the time, my wife is from Oklahoma. So when we graduated together in 1982, I took a job in Norman, Oklahoma at the police department. And back in 1982, if you're much of a football fan, you'll know that Oklahoma University was, I mean, they were a powerhouse. Yeah. So I thought, man, that'd be a cool place to go work. So I went to Norman. I stayed there 7.5 years, and at the police department, worked my way up to a detective. And we moved, well, while I was there, I went back to school, got my master's degree in criminal justice. And then after 7.5 years, we moved to Florida, where my wife's family had moved to. And I was a deputy sheriff in Tampa for 3 years. And during my tour in Tampa, my Army Reserve unit, I was still in the reserve, got mobilized, and I went overseas for the first Gulf War as a military policeman. So when we came back,
which event were we in then?
That was the first Gulf War, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, back in the 90. In 90. While I was overseas, the CEO at Heart and Hospital got in touch with my wife because she worked for the corporation that owned Heart and Hospital, and the headquarters was in Florida, in Tampa, and she worked there. And the CEO got in touch with her and said he wanted her to come up here and be the human resource director. And she explained, well, my husband's overseas, I can't really make this kind of decision. And he said, well, I'd be glad to wait till he comes home because I want you here. So when I did come home, we discussed it. I'd been in law enforcement by then 10 years. I had experience, I had the education, and I figured, okay, I can go be a law enforcement officer pretty much anywhere. We'll make the move for my wife's benefit. So we moved to Tullahoma. Actually, we moved to Estill Springs for a few months while we were looking for a house. So in 1991, we became residents of Tullahoma. And she's been at the hospital ever since. She's still the human resource director. So when I got this chief's job, most people said, well, how do you like it here? And, you know, and I said, I've lived here for 15 years. I've been the quiet guy that's been under the radar, you know. So, and I worked for the sheriff's office for about 15 years. Before
Coffee County Sheriff.
That's where I got my start here. And actually in 1997, I came to Tullahoma as a police officer. I was a police officer here in 97 and 98, about 18 months. And when Sheriff Graves got elected, he encouraged me to come back to the Sheriff's Department. So in 98, I went back to the Sheriff's Department and became the jail administrator and ran the jail for about 3 years. And then, of course, 9/11 struck, and I was called to active duty. Again. And I remained, I was gone for 4.5 years on active duty as a result of 9/11. When I came back, I went back to the Sheriff's office, was there for about a year. And at that time, the current chief, J.C. Farrell, announced his retirement, and I was fortunate enough to be selected for this job.
Threw your hat in the ring.
Yeah. So, but I think the biggest surprise to a lot of people is I was not a newcomer when I got this job. Yeah. I had already been here for many years. And
well, that is interesting. Yeah. But well, you got a wide variety of it, but it's really all been pretty close to the police to the criminal justice operation.
Certainly,
I should
yes.
say. Yeah. So, okay. Well, folks, we're going to need to take a short commercial break, and then we'll come back and go some more.
Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has proudly served your auto rental for over 30 years. Check out this huge selection to choose from. Small car, mid-size car, full-size car, crossover vehicle, SUV, minivan, pickup trucks, 12 and 15 passenger vans. Whether big or small, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has them all. Stop by our 2 locations to serve you, Tullahoma and in Winchester. And remember, my question is, why rent anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
We're talking today, folks, with Chief Paul Blackwell, who has been the Tullahoma City Administrator for 4 months and is now in September going to return to the police department as the full-time chief. And I was thinking of asking you whether your experience as a city administrator, how you went into that and how it flavored you, and whether it adds anything to your return to the police department.
That definitely, because the experiences I've gained from the city administrator position will help me as the chief, knowing how I can address issues in the city, knowing, as I said, have met new people, created new relationships, gives me another avenue to go to for assistance and support. So it definitely helped me to, I think, be better at being the chief. Of course, one of the things we had to deal with when I first came on board as the interim city administrator was the budget. You know, for 11 years, I've been doing the police department budget. I knew it in and out. I knew how much money we have in this account and what we were anticipating to spend. And then when you get in the city administrator, as I said, it now morphed into 8 or 9 different departments.
9 different budgets.
Right, and having to understand their needs as opposed to just what my needs in the police department were. Now it's the needs of everybody. So it allowed me to branch out more. That was a key element. Key element also in seeing how progress in the city works. We got some great things going on in the city right now. And a lot of people just sit back and, okay, we got this going on, but don't really understand the mechanics of how it all worked or what's going to come of it as a result. So I got to see that side of it. And again, I think that's going to benefit me in serving the community, not just as the chief. As the chief, I've got basically 3 bosses. The city administrator is my day-to-day boss. The board of mayor and aldermen are my statutory bosses, and then I've got the citizens of Tullahoma that are my boss. So I serve them. Then I have employees, so maybe that's 4 groups that I really have to satisfy. And so I think the city administrator experience has just given me more knowledge how to deal with all 4 of those requirements.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's okay. So
I think it goes back to why many people ask me, why would you want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of broadening, which is good for all of us.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand that it's been rumored for a number of years. We know the city police department has been in a terribly crowded situation for a whole bunch of years. We've been talking about it, but it doesn't seem like we could ever get anything off the ground. So as I say, it's been rumored for years that we're going to get a new building. Is that rumor still floating?
Is it appropriate to say hallelujah? But yes, that is.
Well, it will be after you get a building.
It's not rumor. We are in the design process of building for for the police department. As you know, we've been in the current building since about 1952, 53, so it has well extended its use. That building's 24/7. It's not just eight hours, everybody close up, go home. It's 24/7. So if it's 50 years old in calendar years, it's really about 150 years old in use. So we're in the design stage, working with the architect now to get the floor plans that we want.
Who is your architect?
It's called Upland Design. They're out of Cookville. They've done a couple other projects here in Tullahoma, which made it pretty easy for us to check some references and see how satisfied Tullahoma people were with their work. But I think we have maybe two more meetings with them to review the design, and then we move to the next step, which is the site plans for our planning and codes to review. And then after that, our timeline is hoping in October to be able to go out for the request for qualifications and pricing, and then hopefully have a contract selected by December, and then January, February of this year, and then January, February, weather dependent if the contractor can start or not, but we're definitely hoping by March 1st to begin the actual construction phase, and then we would hope for about an October, November completion date next year.
Okay, so
it's not rumor.
at the end of 19, you hope to be in your building, huh?
We do hope to be in it, and it's going to be well needed. As you said, right now we're cramped. We've got about actually 4,200 square feet of usable space. This new building right now, we're looking at about 13,000 square feet. So we're looking at almost tripling what we've got. And that's just for our immediate needs, but we're also planning what our 20-year needs are. So we're going to construct the building to where in 20 years or whatever, if we need to do some additions, that we've already got the foundation in place for that.
What are the features you're attracted to?
It's going to be pretty much like any police department that you would go to. Majority of it's going to be like a regular office building, offices for our personnel, and then we're going to probably have 3 or 4 what I call hardened rooms, like our evidence room. It can't be just sheetrock walls. It's got to be secure. Yeah, so we'll know that's going to be a secured room. Our armory where we keep our weapons, again, can't let it be sheetrock. Someone will just kick it and go through it. So that'll be hard.
Be armored, huh?
Yes, and then the front entrance where the public comes in to deal with the police department, that'll be hardened. Obviously, we all understand why you wouldn't want that in sheetrock or something. So that entry point will be designed a little bit more secure. And then the rest of them will be pretty much sheetrock.
You mean all the people who come to see you are not friendly?
Well, all you got to do is watch the news. We would be probably remiss if we did not take some security precautions. So we're going to make sure we do that. And then the rest of the offices will pretty much be just a standard office. And then we're going to have a fitness center, a gym for our officers. We're going to have a large room that is going to serve several purposes. It'll be a training room. It'll be an emergency operations center in the event we have a large event that we have to pull several people in. So we're going to call that our smart room because we're going to have it wired for internet, telephones, screens, video monitoring, things of that nature. We're not going to have an indoor shooting range. A lot of police departments are going to indoor shooting ranges, but understand, gosh, the environmental requirements for that are just so great, and the money's limited. I didn't get a pot of gold that said just spend all you want.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Where is your shooting? Where do you practice now?
We use either the Tennessee Corrections Academy or the National Guard. We've got a great relationship with the National Guard. And we've even made arrangements with our indoor shooting range, private business, that we can go in and utilize their facilities also. So we've got some options to where we can go for our qualifications.
The indoor is a private business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, you know, our officers will have offices for them, for our supervisors. We'll have a large meeting room for them every day to do their shift roll call. So, you know, in that 13,000 square feet design, we've got what we think we need today, and we've got some offices built in for the future. And in the footprint, we've got design for maybe about 2,000 more square feet later down the road.
That could be added?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Well, guess what, folks? We've run out of time. We're going to have to take another commercial break and wrap up.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck.
Keith Barnett here at the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have sold so many new trucks. We've got over 100 pre-owned trucks to choose from. Any make, any size, any model. It's as easy as going to russellbarnett.com to check out our pre-owned truck inventory. And remember, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
With the best selection anywhere, Russell's got your truck, man.
So you've been meaning to do something healthy, commune with nature, get outdoors and meet new people. We have the perfect solution. Come hike with us. You can find a Tennessee Trails Association chapter near you, including Clarksville, Columbia Franklin, Highland Rim, Jackson, Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Memphis, Murfreesboro, Nashville, Plateau at Crossville, and Upper Cumberland. We're on the web at TennesseeTrails.org. It's fun, it's stress-free, and it's good for you. See you on the trails.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Chief Paul Blackwell, who, as you know, has been our police chief for a large number of years, and then for the last 4 months has been the acting city administrator while we chose a new one after the retirement of Jody Balch. So, Chief, you got a few choice words you'd like to leave with the
Sure.
With the audience?
I do. I appreciate it, Tom, and thanks for having me here. I would not have traded this experience probably for anything. It's given me another insight in how our city operates, and been able to have a part in operating it. There have been some great things that have been done in Tullahoma. We're doing some great things now, and as a result of knowing of what I've been able to learn, we got some great things coming in the future for Tullahoma. So Tullahoma is a great place to live. Now, I said I wouldn't trade it because I'm here to serve this community. As I said, I'm your chief of police, and as I said earlier, the citizens are one of the people I'm responsible to, and I understand that and take it very seriously. So when I go back to being the chief, I'm still your chief. I've had the opportunity to be your city administrator. I've had the opportunity to be involved in some of the current projects and future projects for this city. And it's just exciting to be able to serve your community in that fashion. So what I close with is, I'm just not serving as your chief of police or your city administrator. This is my home. I'm serving my community.
Okay.
And I tell everybody thank you for that.
Well, with that, we thank you for joining us and for your service up this time, and we'll look forward to seeing more of you all along. Thank you for inviting us into your parlor, folks, and we'll see you next time.